Varronian chronology is the name of the chronology of the early Roman Republic, which is several years out of step with the common or Christian chronology. The Romans did not have a common era like we have. Instead, they called their years after the two supreme magistrates, the consuls. For example, the year that corresponds to our 59 BCE was known to them as the year in which Gaius Julius Caesar and Marcus Calpurnius Bibulus were consuls. As long as one had a list of magistrates, one could date all past events. Using a similar list, we are able to convert Roman year names to our year and numbers. Although the decree of the first census went out in springtime, May 14th of 7 BC, the declaration was sent out by the Senate in February of 6 BC. The second Roman census that took place during the time of Jesus' birth likely began in early summer of 4 BC. This aligns with the probable birth of Jesus in December 4th BC, and that mentioned in the Gospel of Luke's. Augustus may have put Quirinius in charge of the first census enrollment in Syria. This was between the close of Gaius Sentius Saturninus's administration and the beginning of Publius Quinctilius Varus's term in 5 BC. Due to his competence, Augustus later put him in charge of the 2 BC and 7 AD census. Quirinius was serving as proconsul of Asia in 5 BC. This is found in the International Standard Bible Encyclopedia. Mary and Joseph made their way to Bethlehem to be included in this registration. Sometime between 12 and 1 BC, Quirinius led a campaign against the Hominades Homonidenses, a tribe based in the mountainous region of Galatia and Cilicia. Around 5 BC, Quirinius probably became legate of Galatia. He won this campaign by reducing the Homonides strongholds and starving out the defenders. For this victory, he was awarded a triumph and elected duumvir by the colony of Antioch of Pisidia. It should be pointed out that the Greek reference of Luke 2:2 for the role of Quirinius is hegemoneo, meaning a general term of leadership. Putting all of this together, we have at least 3 censuses in the area of Judea, one in 6 BC, one starting around 3 BC, and one in 6 AD. We also know that Herod died in 2 BC, so Jesus' birth had to have been before Herod's death. Justin Martyr, an early church father, writes in the 2nd century AD that Roman historical records show Quirinius as being the procurator in Judea. In Justin Martyr's Apology, I.34, he states that at the time of 5 BC, Quirinius was not governor. A procurator was normally a personal advocate of the emperor, having special authority quite distinct from the present governor, from wherever the procurator hailed. As such, it appears from Luke, Justin Martyr, and the above that Quirinius served in some sort of proconsul leadership role over Syria as an extension of his Asian duties at the time of the first census before Jesus' birth. The second census was part of Augustus's grand declaration as Pater Patriae. Josephus mentions people swearing an oath of allegiance to Caesar. These tributes required enrollment from across the empire. In 2 BCE, Augustus was called Father of the Country, inscribed in his temple. Orosius, a 5th century Christian, suggests that the second census registration is linked with the birth of Jesus, saying that all of the peoples of the great nations were to take an oath to Caesar, which began in the summer of 3 BC, and it was required of all Roman citizens and others of distinguished rank among the client kingdoms associated with Rome. This universal counting of allegiance to Augustus was demanded of those who claimed any kind of authority within the kingdom. The census was ordered by Augustus but was not levied on the Jews until 2 BC due to the Jewish revolt, which extended the census time frame. Nobody knows who was governing Syria at 3 BC. Thus, with Quirinius proconsul of Asia at that time, he may in fact have been governing Syria as well at that time. Nobody knows who it was, so it very well could have been him. The idea is supported that Quirinius possibly became rector of Syria as an extension of his oversight of Asia. Between 4 BC and 1 AD, an anonymous governor served a 3-year term in Syria. Roman governors of Syria are known from 12 to 4 BC. If Quirinius was this governor, he was also duumvir in Antioch and led a campaign in Cilicia. His busy schedule likely made him an anonymous governor, spending most time in Turkey. In 1 AD, Quirinius was injured and on bed rest. The anonymous governor resigned in 1 AD. There's no direct evidence linking Quirinius to the role. Due to my conclusion, I have very good reason to believe that Jesus was born in 4 BC during the second census. In February of 4 BC, when Caesar Augustus was declared father of the country via the will of the entire Roman Empire, Quirinius was given role as governor over Syria while yet living in Turkey. Early 3 BC, Jesus' family goes to Egypt. Herod then dies in the year of 3 BC after the slaughtering of children, but before the Jewish revolt took place. Thus, all these events must be interrelated, taking place between 7 to 3 BC, and thus this functions as corroborating evidence that Christ was born around 4 BC. It also successfully identifies the census of Quirinius mentioned in Luke.